Hello everyone, and thank you for watching my video. Alyssa Lightman here, a local real estate agent in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina with Realty One Group Dockside. And this is The Lightman Show. Before we begin, make sure you give this video a like, subscribe so you can watch the next episode. You can also leave your questions and topics so we can discuss them in the next episode. So comment below and let's get started. In this episode, I will introduce a special guest. You will also meet my team and I will share my top picks of the week. If you're in the market for something new, you might want to take a look. Our special guest today is a gentleman who started his real estate career in 1994 in the DC area and is now a real estate broker of over 230 agents in Myrtle Beach. Please welcome Michael Cole. So Michael, tell us a little bit about your story and how you got here today.
Okay. Well, I got into the real estate business in 1994. Not too many years out of high school. We won't say how many. And about 10 years later, decided to move to the Myrtle Beach area. I originally was in the DC area. We decided to move somewhere that was a little better place to raise children, as well as be near the beach and all the fun that goes with that.
So that would be Myrtle Beach, right?
Absolutely. And so we just fell in love with Myrtle Beach and we moved here. I continued my real estate career here until 2007 when I decided to open my own firm. I felt like there were some things that agents out there needed that were not being offered by the current brokerages that were out there.
I agree.
And so I wanted to do something a little different than everybody else. So we did that and it worked and it grew really well. And 12 years later, we're here with 3 offices and 240 agents or so. And we're having fun, and we just love being here at the beach.
Well, that's great. I'm really glad you guys grown so much and you keep busy.
We do.
So that's really great. Michael, what about, I mean, you've been here a long time. How many years have you been here?
17 years.
17 years. So if you were to move to Myrtle Beach nowadays, what would be an advice that you would appreciate?
Probably the number one thing I would tell if I had a friend or family member that was thinking of moving here would be to move here and rent for a year. As crazy as that sounds, I think it's impossible for the average buyer visiting our area to get a feel for the different neighborhoods and the different areas and schools and things like that on a simple weekend coming here. And I know a lot of folks do that, but I just feel like if it were my sister or a family member or a friend, I would probably tell them to move here, rent something for a year and get a better feel for traffic and schools and things of that nature.
Well, great. Thank you so much for the advice. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Having worked in real estate, helping homeowners and buyers understand the process, I feel that this is the time I share my experience with you and help you learn more about real estate. And to do so, I have invited my team to the show. So let's go meet them.
Hi, I'm Angie Knight. I'm the managing attorney of Grand Strand Law Group, a local real estate law firm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We've been in business since 2009. This is actually our 10-year anniversary this month, so we're really excited. We do mostly residential real estate closings, and the majority of those are resales as opposed to new homes. We also assist clients with probate, business, and estate planning, which really complements our real estate practice. We love to do real estate, and that's why we're here with Alyssa today.
My name is Ed Bocchino with Homebridge Financial, producing area manager here in Myrtle Beach. We specialize in home financing for folks that are looking to purchase or refinance their homes here at the beach. I've been in the mortgage business for a little bit over 27 years and just really specialize in service, communication, and response for our clients and our agent partners.
Hi, my name is Steve Palo. I am with Union Home Mortgage Corporation. I've been in the business since 1993. I've had a different set of career changes. I was a loan officer, went into a wholesale position, and wound up owning my own company for several years. And I decided that being a loan officer was pretty good. So I settled down in the Charleston region and Myrtle Beach region about 6 years ago. And I found it to be a very comforting and nice change from where we came from, which is New Jersey. Again, built relationships with several referral sources, specialize in alternative credits, something that's from the past that has resurfaced, and worked a lot with customers and bars and referral agents on how to overcome some of the obstacles they have.
So we have all heard that the Myrtle Beach area is one of the fastest growing areas in the United States. The county's population has risen 30% over the last 8 years and 61% since 2002. So what is your position on the market 2018 versus 2019?
You know, I can tell you, Alyssa, from personal experience, our sales and closings that we've done just the first 6 months of 2019 has risen 10% over 2018. However, I read an article several months ago that the United States, the new home builds, the documentation for getting new land and zoning, all of that is actually down about 10% compared to the last few years. So it's an interesting mix, and considering I do a lot of resales, that's interesting information for me to know that the new home builds are down. That means resales are going to be up. What do you guys think?
No, I mean, that's a great point. And you know, when you look at me being in the mortgage business, we're tightly, wound, right? Attorney, mortgage, and you know, I would have to say we're probably about the same as far as growth goes in 19 over 2018, and you know, it's markets are different. I think if you look into the Myrtle Beach or the Grand Strand area, I think it's now in the top 3, number 2 places to move to nationally, where people are coming to. So you know, it's going to continue those growth numbers that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
It's a great place to live and work, so just keep building.
My family and I actually came here because of the beach, and we wanted to get away from the rat race of the DC area. It was a better place to raise kids, a better place to retire. The taxes were low, the home values, it was a lot easier to get into a nice, decent property compared to where we came from. So it fit the bill, it checked off all the boxes for us as a family.
We notice a lot more Northerners and Midwesterns are moving into this area.
Definitely.
So I see a lot of those clientele come through. A lot of the Northerners are coming down paying cash, so it's a unique situation for this region.
Oh yeah, it's about 50% cash, but you know, at the end of the day, whether they're coming down to retire or they're coming down, to work, that tax burden difference is huge.
Right.
From the north to the south. And when you equate that to buying power, it's significant what they can actually purchase just on what they're paying in taxes. They can buy monthly, they can buy an entire house and have that house payment the same as their taxes. It's pretty interesting.
I couldn't tell you how many people, when I was doing real estate sales, you would tell somebody from New Jersey or New York that they would ask the taxes on a certain property, and you would tell them it's $1,200, and they would say, okay, that's not bad, I'm paying $1,400 a month now. And I'd say, no, I mean $1,200 for the year.
Per year.
And that's not for a shack, it's a nice house.
Right. That's good.
Definitely. So we're moving on to some general questions here. And the question I have at hand now is about foreclosures. Is it a good idea, and what to know?
Is it a good idea to purchase a foreclosure?
Yes.
I guess it depends on how much time you have.
Right?
That's great.
It's not a fast process, and it's a hair pulling process. It's you have to have patience, don't you think? I mean, especially if you're going to get a loan and deal with that, because you're dealing with 2 banks at that point. When you're buying a foreclosure, there's a lot that has to be done, and a good bit of it has to do with the court system. And everybody knows that the court system does not move quickly. They move in their own pace. And so sometimes we're waiting on that judge to file that deed that they should have filed 3 months ago. It happens sometimes. And so it really depends on your time frame for moving in and your ability to wait and your patience to, in order, you're gonna get a good deal, most likely. So in that regard, it's certainly a good option for folks, but you do have to have patience.
Well, and it's property condition too.
Well, yeah.
I mean, if you're paying cash and you have the wherewithal to pay cash, and then you have the wherewithal to do what you need to do with the property, a lot of times in a foreclosure situation, you don't have the benefit of a buyer buying a resale, or especially with construction, where you absolutely know what you're getting. You've had your inspections, you've had everything. You're sitting on the courthouse steps, putting in a bid, and may not have even had access
To the property.
And those are usually as is, right? So you really
Absolutely.
don't really have a choice
You have
of
no choice.
negotiating that.
Yeah, that was gonna be one caution that I had for especially your first-time buyer that's moving into their first home. While they will get a good deal in most cases, there's also going to be some scary parts where if I'm buying a regular home, a resale home that's on the market with a realtor, there are some protections built in there, a property disclosure, things like that, where the seller has to tell me certain things that are wrong. And if the roof is leaking, or if the HVAC doesn't work, or something to that effect, generally the seller will fix it in most cases. Whereas with a foreclosure, it's as is in most cases. The seller or the bank who owns it is not going to fix those things. And so the term buyer beware really comes into play when you're talking about a foreclosure.
Yeah.
It's still a good idea, if allowed, to go in and do a home inspection, just so you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So if you want to buy a foreclosed property, because you don't have that opportunity to have the seller work with you, be prepared financially to know what you're looking at if you're going to take that expense on. So.
And most of the time, Angie, would the buyer be able to do an inspection, or is it kind of?
I suppose a lot of the banks, when it is being sold as foreclosure, some of them are represented by agents, and so that agent may allow that. They sort of call the shots in that case. So it really depends on whether or not the seller, in any situation where if a buyer were to want to do an inspection prior to making an offer, that would really be up to the seller, regardless of who they are, whether it's a bank or a personal, sale. So, because the question is, do they want to allow the potential buyer onto the property to do that inspection?
I see.
And there's points where the home condition, the big thing is that giant question mark. I don't know what the home condition is. I can't get into the home 9 times out of 10
Yep.
prior to putting in my bid for the auction.
Sometimes you don't even
or
see
the
it.
foreclosure. Sometimes you don't even see it. And if you're a buyer that's looking to finance a home,
That's a problem,
chances
right?
are
Yeah.
real good that your lender or bank's going to have an issue, because generally with the foreclosure, there's functional obsolescence. There's some issue, whether it's a HVAC system or potential water penetration or something, and the bank's not going to allow, no one's going to fix that prior to closing, and the mortgage company's not going to close unless they're doing a renovation loan on the purchase. But then, in order to do that, you still need to have access prior, because you need to have all the bids out and what the work's going to cost. So, good idea for folks that have a lot of cash that are coming in. They get an awesome deal. Generally, if they're buying a foreclosure, it's because they're going to fix it up and they're going to resell it. But for first-time home buyers or people that are more conservative and less risky, probably not a very good idea.
Probably not a good idea. The question I have here is purchasing a home, and what is the first step?
I'd say see Ed first.
By the way, I love it when people say that.
Get pre-qualified, guys. Talk to these gentlemen over here.
Actually, I mean, and that's a big topic in itself, and I don't know if that's for this episode, but you have pre-qualified, you have pre-approval, and then you have a pre-commitment. And I think that for anyone looking to buy a home, understanding what those 3 things actually really mean and what it takes to get to those pieces is very important. And we certainly probably don't have the time in this episode to cover all of that, but the bottom line, the first step is to get pre-approved. Forget about pre-qualified, we'll explain that in another episode, but get pre-approved. That is absolutely the first step.
That's leverage. That gives the buyer the opportunity to share with that seller, or to let that seller know that you have other opportunities. You're not the only person on the block. The other thing too, in relation to that pre-approval, is making sure you understand you have needs that you spoke to your realtor about. This will help you narrow down what your needs and what your wants are. So you can really filter that in, understanding where you are dollar.
Well, it's understanding your buying power.
Absolutely.
I mean, and budget, right? Because where a lot of folks run into problems is the mortgage lender's trying to get the highest loan size that they can possibly get. And folks could qualify up to 50% debt ratio, another topic, by the way.
Sure.
But that may not fit into what their monthly budget is.
Yeah, and it's always amazing to me how many people want to just go out and shop for a home without ever talking to one of these lenders first.
Very true.
If you can imagine going to the grocery store and filling your card up, not knowing how much money you have in your pocket or in your bank account. That is exactly what it's like, and then getting up there and then, so it just always amazes me. So once somebody goes along and gets pre-qualified, then what's the next step? They meet with you as their realtor and go from there?
So I believe the next step would be a buyer's consultation. They should come into the office, meet with the realtor, make sure the realtor understands their needs, their wants, and in the betweens, so they can find them the property that is a good fit for them. And then after that, once we find that property, we make that offer, and that's when our attorney comes in.
And then I do a lot of work and then we close. That's the short version.
And we can take you from pre-approval to closing in what? 48 seconds?
48 seconds you'll have your
48
house,
seconds.
yeah. No, there's a lot to be done in that closing process, but we'll talk about more of that on our next episode.
Absolutely. Please watch us on our next episode. Share this with your friends and family. Comment with any questions you have, and we'll see you in the next one. Pine Lakes neighborhood is one of the neighborhoods I like to call a free community. Here you will find homes with all sorts of different styles, sizes, ages, and architecture. Pine Lakes is a historic neighborhood. The oldest home here was built in 1920. The neighborhood is located in the heart of Myrtle Beach between 17 Business and Grissom Parkway, and about all the way from 38th to 62nd Avenue North. It's a great location considering being so close to the beach, the waterway, and all the attractions Myrtle Beach has to offer. You can also visit the Pine Lakes Country Club, a historic country club designed by an influential New York architect, Raymond Hood, and is an unusual example of classic revival architecture. The construction of the club began in 1926. In addition to the hotel and the club building, a 27-hole golf course was built in association with the club. Now, the golf course was designed by Robert White, and the present 18-hole course dates to 1946. In this neighborhood, you can choose to be a member of the Pine Lakes Country Club. With this membership, you can access tennis courts, pool area, social events, golf, and much more. There are 8 homes for sale currently and 15 sold in the last 12 months. The average days on the market is 154 days. However, about 20% were sold before listed. This neighborhood is a great option because of location and optional membership, as well as a variety of styles and price ranges. Click on the link in the description below to see what's available now. Thank you.